In a quiet suburb just outside of Asheville, North Carolina, lived a man named Daniel Myers. For most of his life, Daniel had one constant: his childhood best friend, Aiden Cole. They'd grown up on the same street, inseparable since age 4. 30 years of friendship had made them more like brothers than friends. They studied together, got into trouble together, celebrated birthdays, survived heartbreaks, and stood by each other when family disputes tore through their homes. Where Daniel was, Aiden wasn't far behind, and vice versa. There wasn't a single soul in their extended families or town who didn't know the bond they shared. It was the kind of friendship people envied and often used as an example for loyalty. Nothing ever came between them. Not money, not women, not career choices. They had a sacred pact. No matter what, we go through life together. But life had other plans. It was the summer of 2007. Daniel and Aiden decided to take a weekend trip to Riverside Park near Tennessee, aiming to camp under the stars and take a dip in the cool river water. They both managed to get a couple of days off work. Daniel drove the first half of the way, and somewhere past Knoxville, Aiden took over the handlebars of their old Yamaha motorcycle. As they neared a winding turn outside the woods of Lake Heron, a car sped past in the opposite direction. Aiden swerved to avoid it, but the road was slick with red gravel. The bike lost traction, skidded, and both friends were thrown into a rocky ditch that dropped deep into the forest. Daniel remembered the blur of trees, the screech of metal, and then nothing. He woke up in the hospital, confused, in pain, and wrapped in gauze from waist to ankle. His right leg was fractured in 2 places, but it wasn't the physical pain that tore him apart. It was the news that Aiden didn't survive the crash. The world seemed to collapse. The doctors told him he had been unconscious for 3 days. In that time, Aiden had been buried, gone, forever. Daniel spiraled into deep depression. He left his job, isolated himself, and spoke to no one. Nights were the worst. His dreams were filled with laughter that turned into screams. He longed to see Aiden, even if just once. Why didn't I die with him? He often asked himself. Why am I alone? Months passed. One night, in an attempt to feel normal again, Daniel went to a midnight screening at a local theater. The place was nearly empty. As he sat watching a slow-moving thriller, he suddenly felt a hand gently touch his own. He turned, and there he was, Aiden, sitting right next to him, smiling. Same black hoodie, same crooked smile, same eyes full of mischief. Daniel's heart nearly stopped. "You kept calling me, man," Aiden whispered. "You miss someone this hard, they don't have a choice but to show up." Then he laughed. Just as Daniel tried to touch him, the screen flashed. Intermission. The theater lights came up, and Aiden vanished. The seat was empty. Daniel ran outside, searching every hallway and corner. No one had seen him. No one else had even noticed anyone sitting beside Daniel. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, whispering into the dark. "Aiden, I know you're here." And then, the bed dipped. A warm weight settled beside him. Daniel turned his head. There was Aiden, lying next to him, grinning. They talked for hours, old memories, jokes, stories. Daniel's wife awoke to the sound of laughter and was terrified to find her husband speaking and laughing, completely alone. The next day, his family staged an intervention. A priest was brought in. Holy water, prayers, protection charms, black cords tied around their necks. Everything to sever the unnatural bond between the living and the dead. After that, Aiden never came again, and Daniel's world fell dark once more. Months later, Daniel decided to visit an old orchard deep in the woods, one of their favorite spots. He didn't tell anyone where he was going. While riding through the winding, deserted trail, 5 masked men stepped out in front of his motorcycle. Sorry for the interruption. If you're still watching, please hit that subscribe button below. So, let's continue the video. They had knives and box cutters. Daniel's instincts kicked in, but the road was too narrow. He crashed trying to escape. The men dragged him into the woods and beat him savagely. His money, phone, and gold chain were ripped from his body. Then one of them stabbed him in the stomach, again and again, until everything went dark. He awoke in the hospital 2 days later, stitched and barely alive. His parents stood by his bedside, shaken but relieved. When Daniel asked, "How did you find me? Who brought me here?" his father's eyes welled up. "We don't know his name, but the nurses said a young man brought you in, wearing a black hoodie. When we showed them a photo, they all said it was Aiden." The blood drained from Daniel's face. "They said he used your motorcycle to bring you here. He had your wallet, phone, and chain, all left beside your bed, and..." His dad paused, choking up. "He called us. He told us where you were. And I swear to God, Daniel, it was Aiden's voice." That night, alone in his hospital room, Daniel whispered into the darkness, "Aiden, you came back for me." Somewhere in the quiet, he heard it, a faint chuckle, and with it, a single whispered word, "always." To this day, no one could explain how Daniel was rescued from a forest with no signal, or how his phone and belongings were returned. The men who attacked him were never found. But Daniel knew one thing for sure. Some bonds don't end with death. Some friendships break every rule of the afterlife. The living walk with the living. The dead stay with the dead. That's what they say. But for Daniel and Aiden, even death had no say. Still watching, but not subscribed? A lot of effort goes into making these videos. When you subscribe and share, it keeps me motivated to create more. So please, make sure to subscribe.